So then this is the worst part. Whew. A rodent in the ceiling, okay? Possibly a rat or possibly rats. In the shop, I believe I'm by myself. Yeah, I think I was in the shop by myself one day or one night. Mainly, I think it started during the night when I was here, would start to hear these noises, and then it escalated to daytime randomly. So I heard this noise travel from here to there. It went like, it sounded like a mouse, like something, not a mouse, it sounded like a cat, something heavy running across. It happened one time and I never heard it again. I don't know what, if it was the first year or second year that it happened. I think the first year it ran, I heard it. It never happened again for a long time. So I just let it go. Then it happened again. And I started to get worried. And I started to tell my fiance at the time about it. And yeah, I would tell him about my concerns and everything. And it just started getting really bad where I would hear it like every other day, maybe even every day. Okay. And it happened a few times in front of clients. Like I remember I had one of my kitty clients and it happened, the noise, and I tried to ignore it, just act like, I don't care about the noise or I don't hear it. And she said something about it. She would say, "Oh, do you guys have rats in the wall?" Or something along those lines. And I'm like, I don't know what that is. Like, it's not from me. It's not, because it wasn't from me. It's not my fault that it's happening and I can't do anything about it. It's something I honestly thought it was coming from above me, but I just, once I told the renters, they told me that nobody was above me because I had told them, like, it sounds like something is running in my ceiling. Who is above me? Like, I thought it was an office because they had offices too, and they had office suites upstairs too in the building. I had a storefront, they had offices in the building. So I thought that offices and suites were right above me. They told me that it was nobody above me, that it's just, a roof on top of me. So, that means that it is something in between the ceiling and the roof, you know. And the ceiling was like cubicle ceilings, like at how offices are, how they have those like popcorn bubble ceilings. I'll insert a picture right here. I was so afraid that whatever that thing was, if it was a rat or anything like squirrel, possum, raccoon, that it would fall down eventually one day. I was so frightened. Like it got to the point where instead of it just going past one time per day or however often, it would start going back and forth for a few minutes. You could hear the scraping, and I was getting so afraid. So that was another strike. I'm like, okay, they have to do something about this, or I'm leaving. Like I need to leave. Like my time is up from here. So it started to be more and more uncomfortable. One day I came inside the shop. After a long day, I came in and I had standing dryer. Once I had walked in, the dryer it looked like it had hit the floor really bad. It was cracked, it was broken, so I had to throw it away. And some other things I had towards the front of the salon, it was all smashed on the floor too. Some other things had broke. I can't remember, but I remember that dryer had broke, and I was so upset. I was so mad, and I had to throw it away. And I think I was just about to get some new dryer sheets too, so I only ended up having to get one. Yeah. So it seemed like somebody had came inside my salon and did that. I don't have proof that anybody did that. No, nothing was stolen from me, but it was just so odd. Like nothing that noticeable was stolen from me. Nothing super valuable, nothing of value was stolen from me. But it was just so absurd that had happened. Then one of the renters, the female, she was just always rude to me. Honestly, I prefer to deal with the guy over her. And so towards the end, we started to deal with each other more and more, me and the female. I just had to do what I had to do. It was times where I had got behind in rent due to a time I had got depressed when my vehicle was stolen from me, from my brother. I stopped going to work, during that time. I felt like I need to heal. I just wasn't in the right headspace. I had took off that same day when it happened, and I had lots not it was a busy day for me from the capacity that I could take per day. It was like booked for how booked I how booked I can be for a day for my speed and all of that and for what I do. So I ended up canceling everybody that day. So most of the people that I canceled on, they never came back. Maybe one or two of them had came back, but I had one new client and then I had returning clients. The new client never came back and the other ones never came back. It was like one or two that did come back. I had about five clients, which was is good for me because typically I do three clients per day. But I had got so depressed. I got that made me get behind in rent. Okay, my fiance at the time was still working or whatever and trying to help me out and you know give me some encouragement. But I was just depressed during that time, so I eventually went back and I was behind. So I did let them know a little bit about what happened and that I would be trying to catch back up on rent. So that put me back. So eventually I did catch up and late fees had occurred and I did eventually catch back up. But no matter what, this woman was still putting late fees. I had even forgot about this. I own up to my wrong about being late for rent and missing out on rent, not having it, not paying. But she was wrong in what she did with keep on, taking advantage of the situation. She kept on adding on late fees on top of late fees. And no matter how hard I tried, no matter how much I paid the full rent and paid those late fees, no matter what, she still was adding late fees. She made up some type of excuse for it as like, oh, it was just witchcraft, to be honest. She wanted some type of control. I know this sounds crazy to y'all, but believe me, I'm a prophetess woman of God. Okay, I'm not ordained, but that is the gift that God has given me. Okay, that's what I operate in. And I was just starting to get those. A lot of people use vibes, and I don't mean vibes in a new age type of way. Just like me filling her out, filling her spirit, picking up on discernment, picking up on her spirit. Okay. When I remember one time I had went to go meet her and talk about those late fees and to see if everything was right. A lot of things were correct, but some things didn't make sense to me. And then I remember, like, I know I was going there to fight for and stand up for mine, and it worked all those other times. Like, and me, not me trying to take advantage or say any other things, or do anything else. Like me just standing my ground. I proved my points. This time, like, I had started to get dazed and confused, and I felt like I couldn't fight back. Like, it's just like I was just dazed and confused. I'm like, when I left from there, I'm like, that's the spirit of witchcraft. Somehow I knew deep down that she was doing some type of witchcraft. I just felt control from her, but she kept on manipulating those late fees so that I wouldn't be current. Like, then once I did get current, yeah, so basically I did end up getting current. And this happened months before I decided to leave. But she kept on adding in those late fees so I could still be considered behind and keep on paying. Like, I'm pretty sure that they weren't able to afford that place because so many other people before me had decided to leave that place. It was different storefronts. It was like a plaza. So many different businesses. It was a food store, restaurants, phone store, so many different places, eyeglass place, and a lot of them, even dentists, I believe, a lot of those places had failed or decided to leave. And it's like she was kind of taking it out on me. I heard God said that she did take it out on me. But yeah, like, no matter how much I proved my point, she still tried to stay with it. So boom, it looks like I'm still behind, but I'm not because I went past it. Thank you, Lord, for reminding me of that. So things still are bad I'm still paying the people next door, the Chinese store. She didn't know about this. She thought that whatever she had in her mind about it. Maybe she didn't even care. She probably didn't. She didn't. But I'm still paying them, and then everything else is going wrong though in the place. I'm still having that ceiling problem, hearing the rodent go back and forth in the ceiling. It's driving me crazy. I'm so scared. Even if I didn't have a client, I would be there during the day and I would just get so nervous and afraid and timid that something would fall down. Me being there for hours, doing work, occasionally doing edits and things like that, and being there in case a client comes because it's a storefront. Anybody could walk through, and just being afraid of that noise. I was still going through all those other things. And there was time where he had one off the box. Once I remember the name of it, I'll insert it in the video. But that wasn't working anymore, and I had eventually get that done by myself. It was just so much things crashing down. And I wish I would have asked those questions. Of course, I definitely would still have picked that place because that's the place that God gave me. But if I would have done more research and got advice from people, maybe, yes, got advice from people and asked all those extra questions, there's no way in the world I would have went through all that stuff. It did help me to grow, but I shouldn't have had to go through that. I wouldn't have had to go through it. So it just started to come to me that was time for me to go. Like, they had increased the rent once again, so they were only supposed to increase the rent once per year. They increased it twice. The last 2 years that I was there, on year 2 and then on year 3. Like, once it was hitting year 3, I did leave before year 3, but once it was hitting year 3, they increased the rent twice both of those times, and I still paid the price that they told me. I hear you sure did, but yeah, I definitely had still paid the amount. And I made sure I paid it in full. And when I was late, whenever I was late, I was still paid the late fee too. That's part of what she was talking about, the late fee. Like, okay, she was saying that the late fee carries over to the next month, even if you do pay the late fee from the previous month. Part of that late fee, because that late fee that you just paid was late, so it's going to go to the next month. She was doing anything. She didn't want me to be there. She didn't really like me, young black woman. She didn't want me to be there, basically. Who knows? Could have been because I was a sweetheart too and a nice looking young woman. And things started to crumble down from there, okay? And I decided to leave. Like, God had started to pull on my heart to leave. And I remember I was at crossroads. I was considering still staying. Maybe I could have stayed, but it would have been a lot. I would have to do a lot of repairs. If I would have found another person, nail tech, I would let a nail tech come. I did have a cousin that did nails, and they told me afterwards of me leaving, they didn't know though. If that would have happened a little bit sooner, hire her, things would have went right, and I could have did repairs. I could have saved it, but God was really, really tugging on me to leave. Like, Davina, just leave. And I remember I was at a crossroads. I had already got that word. I already got that tug in my spirit to do that. I remember I was there at the shop, and I was like, should I stay or should I go? Like, I remember I had wrote down pros and cons of staying there and leaving. Then I was just there, and it was like, it was starting to get late. And I was saying, what should I do? Like, should I stay or should I go? And that noise from the salon came up right after I had thought that, like right after. And I'm like, okay, yeah, it's time to go. So, boom, I decided to leave. So I started looking for other places, and I chose a place where a suite. I thought that would be more convenient for me, and it was a little bit less money, and everything was right. It was convenient and everything. For what I was looking for. So I chose that, and I left. Okay, I broke my lease. I just left. I didn't tell them. I just left. Okay, but God led me to do that, and I had got another confirmation from a prophetess that I watched online. So she didn't say it directly to me, like, Davina, this is what God told me, but she said it. So boom, I got that other confirmation, that other prophetic confirmation, and I decided to leave. And I was at my place. So instead of me trying to do all the research and again and me praying for that complete direction, all constantly, and just waiting until I get an answer, and just maybe even considering just going to a local salon to work in. My pride got in the way. I wanted to save my place. I wanted to still be a salon owner. I still wanted me to have my own. So I went with the suite. So even though the suite was more expensive, it was weekly for around the same amount of rent that I was paying. The other place, the total was around the same amount per month. It was weekly, so that did, like, when I had did the sweet tour and they told me that, that did resonate with me, like, oh, maybe that could be a problem. But I just saw in my head like it'll all work out, you know. Most of my clients will follow me and I'll gain new clients too, and it's a nice place and it's more upscale. It's even better for me, and it's just me anyway, so I don't need that much space. So it went okay, but then other things start to happen. My grandmother ended up getting sick, and she had a diagnosis that she no longer has, thank God. And I went down there as soon as I could. So that had took away from some money of me starting up the lease there. And that pushed me behind. And then it got slow there for me. Like, it's not a storefront, you're inside of a suite. And then some of my clients then followed me, and some of my clients took a while to even contact me to come get their hair done again. So it was just really slow for me there, honestly, really, really slow. And it just didn't work out. I ended up slacking on my behalf a little bit too, and it all boiled me down for me to have to leave from there and come to where I am now. And I was, I realized that I was so prideful during that time. I didn't realize that's what I was done with. I just thought I was just trying to save my place. Yeah, I just thought that I was just trying to save my place, but as I was talking and I was arguing with someone, I noticed, like, oh my God, I'm prideful. I didn't notice I'm normally a very humble person. I'm a sweetheart. No one is perfect, of course, but I try to do my best to do things right, and I care about people. So for me to, pride, that would didn't even cross my mind. But as I was talking and I was so upset and I'm yelling, screaming, defending myself, which part of that stuff was true, but I was really prideful. That was the bottom of it. I was just really prideful, and I saw it after, actually during the middle of me talking and still arguing. I noticed that I was prideful, but I kept on going. And afterwards, I was like, oh my God, how did I get so prideful? And I had to repent of it and pray about it. So I eventually came around with being okay. It was a lot different for me in many ways, but everything worked out, and I'm cool here, So I am here, and God will work things out in due time. I'm just grateful that I am in a cool space, a beautiful place. This place is really beautiful, the area that I work in. And yeah, like, I'm very grateful that I don't have to have so much pressure on me, and I don't have to struggle in those ways that I was beginning to struggle. I just encourage you guys, if you guys are in business, any type of business, e-commerce or storefront, make sure you do all of your research. Make sure you ask all of the questions. Make sure you get proper advice before and during the time of you being or you having your business, because you never know. You never know. All right, you guys, thank you so much for tuning into this video. If this was of encouragement to you, if you learned something new, if this story was interesting to you, anything, if you liked it, make sure to give this video a thumbs up, okay? And make sure to subscribe, support your girl. I need all the support. Really appreciate it. Share this video with somebody too that it can help, that it can uplift, okay? And I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.